Your value is far above rubies and pearls, I say to a group of 3 teenage girls who are standing around me at the school corridor and trying to understand my foreign accent. A few more girls stopped to check out what is happening. You were born to be a princess, I tell, turning to one of them. Really? She looks at me with her large eyes. Yes, really. You know there are 2 ways to become a princess. 1, if you marry a prince. They start to giggle. Or 2, if your daddy is a king. I became a princess because a king adopted me. What? Are you a real princess? They ask and lean closer to hear my answer. Every Friday we come to this school with my classmates and throw a lunch club program for the kids. After school, many of them come down to check out our youth club that we run every Friday. There we tell them stories they might haven't heard before. Stories that were passed from one generation to another, all throughout history. Does any of them care about anything we say at all? I sometimes wonder, because it's hard to say. Does it even matter that we do tell? Of course it does. Stories are funny things. Sometimes, somehow, some of them stay with us and shift things inside of us. I know this because some stories shifted things in me and have stayed with me. I was about 18. It was in the beginning of my summer holiday when I heard of an American group is coming to Hungary to do some mission work. My friend, who was going to be the group's interpreter, asked me if I wanted to come. Of course I did. There was nothing I wanted more than to spend time with missionaries, not just to read about them in books, but to get to know firsthand how they do what they do. What an adventure! What an opportunity! Mom, please let me go with them, I pleaded with her. I want to go so badly. If you let me go, I promise I will do my hardest to keep my room tidy all summer. Well, you should do that anyways, she replied. I understand that you want to go, but we just can't afford it. They will probably eat in restaurants every day, and we just don't have any money for that kind of luxury. Oh, Mom, I interrupted her because I realized that she would be quite willing to let me go if it wasn't for the restaurants and the expenses. I don't care about all that. When they will eat, I will just go to a shop and get some bread rolls and salami. I really don't mind. I'll just tell them, no big deal. Please don't let me pass on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because of that. And with that, I won her over. She gave me some money, not for spending of course, but just in case anything would happen and I needed it. But it is not for spending, she pressed it for the last time. And with that, my adventure has begun. The Americans were very kind. Most of them had good jobs in the States and saved up for this 2 weeks mission trip to Eastern Europe, which was a bit strange for me because I always thought that most missionaries go to Africa or one of those exotic adventurous places. But to Hungary? Well, I was just happy they came and that I had the chance to meet them and be part of the team. We visited local churches, encouraged young and old in their faith. I stayed with the pastors' families in their homes. One of the days we had half a day off on our hands, and the Americans wanted to go to the city center to check out some shops. So we went. It was so fun, because just like in the movies, when they really liked something, they just bought it. It must be such a great life, I thought to myself. I even got a kick out of their joy. I saw a beautiful pearl necklace, perfect in every way that I really liked, and it wasn't expensive at all, but my money was not for spending. It wasn't even my money. And I wasn't sad about it or anything, because it's just part of life, isn't it? The part of my life anyway. The next day we went to a gypsy church. Well, it was a church all right because people came together to lift up the name of Jesus, but they didn't have a building. They just came out to their village's muddy street to hear what the Americans had to say. The crowd grew around them by every passing minute. The children were noisy and most of the grown-ups were uninterested. Once lived a man named John who sold everything he had and bought a boat ticket to go to New York and start a new life. The American began his story, raising his voice so that people in the back could hear him too. On the day of departure, John got his ticket, boarded the ship and went into his cabin. In the evening, the captain knocked on the door and invited him to come up and dine with the other passengers. "No, thank you." John declined the invitation and closed the door. The captain glanced through the cabin window and saw John as he went back to his bed, picked up something that looked like a piece of cheese and chewed on it. The next day, the same thing happened. The captain came, invited John for dinner. He declined and went back to his cabin. During the days that followed, there were parties on the upper deck and much fun. But John did not leave his room. He just kept on chewing his, by now rock-solid, stinky tiny piece of cheese. By the end of the voyage, he has lost a lot of weight. His cheeks were sucked in and his skin turned greyish pale. As he was about to leave the ship, the captain greeted him and shook his hand and could not help himself but to ask, "Dear sir, I hope you had a pleasant journey with us. Would you be so kind to tell me why did you not accompany us for any meals or entertainment during our time together?" John has looked down to his shoes. "Dear Captain, I thank you very much for your warm invites, but you know, I am a poor man, and I only had the money to buy my single ticket to New York and to buy a bit of cheese for the journey. I simply had no more money to join you or the other passengers, not even for a drink." The captain looked at him, wide-eyed, stunned. "Dear sir," he said, "did you not know?" John lifted his eyes and looked into the captain's. "Did you not know that your ticket was all-inclusive? That included all the food, breakfast, lunch and dinner. It gave you unlimited access to all our parties." No, John did not know. He reached his destination, but did not enjoy the journey. I imagined that in the end of my life, when I stand in front of my Jesus, my captain, I don't want to hear him say, "Did you not know, Krista? Did you not know that your life was all-inclusive? I have died so that you could live a full life, to have unlimited access to an inheritance I have left you, full of health, joy, abundance. Did you not know?" The next morning, I stood by the shop window, squeezing my emergency money, staring at the beautiful necklace. Stories are funny things. Sometimes, somehow, some of them stay with me and shift things inside of me. I step through the door and the doorbell rings. I step to the counter and point to the necklace in the shiny glass display. I hold it in my hand for a while. Then I reach out my other hand and pay for it. As I leave the shop, I put the necklace on and whisper an inner prayer. Let this be a reminder. Let this necklace mark this day, the beginning of a new sort of life for me, Lord. A life I always wanted, the life I always dreamed of, the life you gave me. When I parted with the Americans, they embraced me and prayed for me. One of the older lady put a crunched up $10 bill in my hand. When I got home, I exchanged it for my Hungarian currency. The amount that I got for it was the exact price of my necklace. Every time I wear it, I remember, life is for living.